Welcome to Android tutorial Fragment, and we are discussing about Fragment. And before going to the coding part, I need to make a point about, see, this fragment is within the activity. So if activity in the on resume state, fragment also resume state. So activity life cycle affects the fragment life cycle. So it goes along with the activity. If it is stop, fragment also will stop, and if it is destroyed, fragment also will get destroyed. So activity state is fragment state. So if you know how to handle the activity life cycle, the same thing we can do it in fragment. We just copy and paste over there to handle the fragment. And we have fragment manager. So we can have this fragment object whenever we need by calling fragment manager. We can access this fragment by ID or by tag. So that's it about this fragment, and fragment is very simple. Is the section of activity, and this activity will be managed by fragment. This fragment is managed by fragment manager, and remaining is we are going to discuss this now. Then my requirement is to display is to divide into two parts, and one part will have a fragment and one part will have a list view. And I already explained in this main, weight is given as a 1, so this is two parts, and one part is list view, next part is fragment. And when it is set content to executes, it instantiate fragment. So let's go to the fragment over there to how to see here. Let's don't look at this code and look at this code. I have inflated and I get the address of this amp details through the instance of this. These are all I explained in previous section. I got the reference to the text views, and I can set text here, and I am returning that view object. So that view object will be written to the activity, and in activity it displays the screen. And right now I will talk about this later, about this data. Right now assume that it has got some data and it returned view. That means when it is execution of on create view is completed, we see the screen like this on the activity, and it come back when activity is created. We need to do something. We know only some data we know, and we can have some dependency on the when it is activity created. I do something in the fragment, so this will be called, and on activity created, then we can do whatever you want. Now is simple requirement. I don't need to implement this, and I don't need to implement this. Let's go to the activity. Here, when item is clicked on that means on list view, when this item is clicked, I need to do it, and this has to be appeared on the screen. So when item click listener, when item is clicked, I am calling one method and passing it will returns the address of the first row layout. If I clicked on the first row, it returns the address of object of this layout. When whichever row I clicked, and corresponding object of that row will be returned here, will be sent to here, and through this view parameter I am sending this view to method, so that I don't want to code in this method. For that I need to always use methods. So I passed it to here. I got linear layout object of that row. So I need to pass the values to this one, amp number, amp name, amp salary. So for that, based on this view object, I get the object of that corresponding views, and then I set the values to this now. How I can set the values? See, I got the object of this layout, whichever is clicked, it has got some data. If I refer through that text view objects, I get the data. So I am getting get text as I am getting the amp number, get text I am amp number, get text I am getting amp salary. Now I got the data over there. Now I need to display it on the screen. How can I display it on the screen? I need to get the fragment object here, because to appear on the screen, look at here, this view is here. On create view, to appear on the screen, I have the screen objects here on the on create view. That means I need to pass data to the fragment. Then only I can set it here. So how can I pass data to fragment? First I need to get the object of that fragment. We can't get directly like a layout, and we need to use fragment manager. We can have it by ID or fragment tag. So when I give the file fragment by tag, it will give us the instance of that fragment. When you have the instance of that fragment class, I can call method on it. So I calling that set data was defined over there. I am passing these values and go to the fragment class. There I have set data. I am passing it now, and I have reference to these objects here, and I am setting text to that. I set text to that. That's it. This is reference to the object of that fragment layout, this layout. So I taken the data from here and setting it here. Now it display on the screen, and I am returning the view, so we will get reflected. That's it. So this requirement is over. On click listener, in that on click listener we have object of this layout, whichever row is clicked. Through this object I get the text view objects. When you have an object, we can get the data over on that object, data in that object. So that data will be passed through this fragment by accessing the fragment by fragment manager. When you have object of this fragment, we can call a method on that. I am passing this data to that fragment, and that fragment I am setting the values and return view, so it appears on the screen. Now comes to the landscape mode. Here, see here, I am not placing here. below the list view row, it's not. When it is landscape mode, this